It has been nearly half a century since we witnessed the emergence of one of the most extraordinary pop culture phenomena of our time, Star Wars. Expanding the horizons of our imagination, the Star Wars franchise opened our eyes to sci-fi fantasies that were never before conceived. Political rifts in a futuristic society, intergalactic wars amongst different aliens, and the creation of the lightsaber. Since then, the Star Wars franchise has stood the test of time, inspiring generations of artists and writers to weave stories of heroes battling extraterrestrial beings in the enigmatic vastness of space. Interestingly, in 1982, a year before the release of The Return of the Jedi, TMS Entertainment presented what would later on become a household name among sci-fi anime fans across the globe, space adventure Cobra. In this video, we'll give a detailed picture of the anime, exploring the premise and the basic storyline while delving into the persona of our protagonist, the flamboyant Cobra. And if you enjoy our content, please like this video, hit the subscribe button down below, and remember to share the channel among your fellow otakus. Brings you the best of anime every day with the best recommendations and anime breakdown videos for our beloved community of weebs. With this, let's get started. It feels like Inception, but in space at the beginning. The premise of Space Adventure Cobra. Following the trials and tribulations of our titular hero, Space Adventure Cobra is an adult sci-fi action anime that's set in space in a distant future. The original manga, Cobra, created by Buichi Terasawa in 1978, was first adapted into an anime film in July 1982 and was immediately followed by the anime series in the same year in October. It follows the adventures of Cobra, a blonde-haired buff Casanova with an advanced gun in place of his lower left arm. Before we get straight to the point, let's address the elephant in the room. You might be wondering why we mentioned Inception to explain the premise of Space Adventure Cobra. For this, let's look back at one of the most memorable dialogues by Dom Cobb, played by Leo DiCaprio in the 2010 sci-fi film. Dreams feel real while we're in them. It's only when we wake up that we realize something was actually strange. Space Adventure Cobra captures the exact feeling of strangeness as soon as you witness the exposition taking place. The story encompasses a huge span of celestial space, which can only be measured in terms of light years. Traveling from one galaxy to another, Space Adventure Cobra is a feast for sci-fi fans who relish the fantasies of alien life forms and entities that seem human, but in reality aren't. Regarding the planets, each episode of Space Adventure Cobra focuses on one particular planet whose landscape is vastly different from the others, be it the rugged relief of the planet Saito or the gigantic skyscrapers with neon lights that populate the surface of Earth. Every celestial body has a different topography, but shares a thread of commonality amongst them. Not only is each planet part of a political rift between the Space Pirate Guild and the Galaxy Patrol, but the infamous Cobra will also eventually come to the rescue. Now, let's return to the Inception moment we discussed. In the first episode of Space Adventure Cobra, our protagonist is initially introduced as Johnson, an ordinary office worker who barely makes enough money for his livelihood. He stays in an apartment with his defective robotic butler, Ben. Being woken up early on a Sunday morning by the robot, Johnson tries to devise an idea to spend the day eventfully without spending too much money. To this, Ben suggests he watch a trip movie, which is an affordable and entertaining experience. Next, upon reaching the Trip Movie Corporation building, Johnson, in a flirtatious manner that is typical of his personality, asks the attendant to play a dream sequence where he is a king with a harem, as well as a space battleship captain who is also a carefree, friendly Superman who battles monsters. Although the attendant did express her disbelief that he viewed this as modest, she plays a file that would help him visualize the same dream in his consciousness. In the dream, Johnson sees himself as a space pirate named Cobra, a tall, dark, and handsome young man with long hair who fights barbaric races on a blue planet, saves damsels in distress, and takes down pirates with his partner, Lady Armoroid. At the end of the trip movie, he gladly thanks the attendant for the dream simulation. However, the attendant is taken aback when she learned that the dream Johnson had seen was not one she had commissioned. So what exactly happened? Well, the dream that Johnson saw in the Trip movie was not a dream. Rather, it was figments of his past memory that appeared in a thrilling montage of action, suspense, and romance. If that makes him Cobra in reality, then what is his real identity? When you're such a badass space pirate that you have to wipe away your own memories to enjoy some downtime, who is Cobra? And what's his Psychogun? During the course of the first episode of Space Adventure Cobra, we, along with our protagonist, come to know that Johnson is in fact a famous space pirate named Cobra. Branded as one of the most wanted individuals across the universe, Cobra is declared a legendary figure with a price of 7 million credits on his head. To escape prosecution by the authorities and evade his enemies, Cobra decides to undergo surgery to alter his appearance, thus taking the guise of a blonde-haired man with a muscular physique. At the same time, he also erases his memories of being a space pirate so that he can live as an ordinary individual. With this, he spends the next 5 years under the identity of an Earthling named Johnson, leading a monotonous life as an office employee with the faulty robot Ben as his only companion. However, in episode 1 of Space Adventure Cobra, when Viking storms into Johnson's apartment and after the latter's stint at the casino, the robot Ben suddenly dives onto Johnson to protect him from the henchmen shooting at them. In a miraculous turn of events, the partly dysfunctional robot sheds its outer metallic sheets, and from its interior rises a slender and advanced robot named Lady Armoroid. The lady's entry was the final puzzle piece that helped Johnson get a clear picture of his identity. Often seen wearing a red suit with a black belt around his waist, Cobra's demeanor can be summed up into 3 words: amorous, chaotic, and agile. It's quite intriguing that the series' adaptation of Space Adventure Cobra introduces him not on the basis of his personality, but rather focuses on 2 aspects in particular. My name is Cobra, the immortal man with the Psychogun in his left arm. The secret of his immortality is perhaps associated with his biological profile. Often referred to as someone who is not an ordinary man, Cobra's abilities are far superior to the antagonists in both the film and the anime series. With superhuman levels of strength, reflex, precision, and endurance, it is remarkable to see how he often escapes the clutches of death with the help of his physical capabilities. Be it the fight against the executioners in the prison at Saito, or his battle against the notorious assassin Crystal Bowie, Cobra's physical prowess is complemented by his sharp wit on several occasions. Yet, it would be unfair not to talk about what set Cobra apart from the other characters in the anime. A major attribute of his physique is the mysterious pistol-like extension in his left arm. Known as the Psychogun, it is the only weapon of its kind to exist in the world of Space Adventure Cobra, which can only be operated by Cobra alone. The Psychogun looks like a prosthetic arm with a long barrel instead of a hand, from which shots of dense energy are fired at the assailants. So what does the Psychogun function on? Does it require gunpowder or metal bullets to shoot? Well, the answer is quite simple: nothing. What makes the Psychogun the most sought-after weapon among villains in Space Adventure Cobra is the fact that it doesn't require any kind of ammunition to run. Instead, it requires an individual with a strong intellect, possessing an unprecedented degree of mental energy, allowing the user to shoot lasers made out of pure energy. At the same time, the kind of psychological ammunition being used in the Psychogun will also be determined by the will of the user. For instance, in episode 5, when Cobra comes to know that the sniper who killed Catherine Royal was none other than her older sister Jane Royal, he subdues her by shooting a few energy bolts with reduced density, unlike the ones he released during his fight against Zygoba in the second episode. Well, our protagonist is full of surprises. After all, he claims to be a futuristic version of James Bond, and that kinda justifies why women fall head over heels for him every single time. And just like Agent 007, our charming womanizer can attract chaos as well. Android lovers and intergalactic conspiracies galore. What happens when Cobra remembers who he is? From episode 1 onwards, Cobra encounters one trouble after another in the course of the anime, especially when he discovers that being a space pirate is his true identity. This gradually throws light on the various political developments occurring across different galaxies, all of which are being orchestrated by the Space Pirate Guild. They're the main antagonists of Space Adventure Cobra, and their ultimate purpose is to take over planets that are of strategic importance and destroy other galaxies to display their sheer power and superiority over other intergalactic organizations. While the Galactic Patrol desperately attempts to hunt down criminals, the authoritarian status of the Guild poses a threat to the Patrol's own existence. Cobra's position in this giant scheme of things is quite crucial. Although his reputation as a space pirate led him to appear in the bad books of the Patrol, his determination to eliminate entities that endanger the lives of the innocent certainly places him as a virtuous person against the Guild. In other words, the Cobra is an anti-hero who lacks the nuance of a conventional hero, yet he is driven by love, passion, and a strong sense of righteousness when facing an enemy. This is a recurring feature in the anime, through which Cobra has taken down the minions of an influential member of the guild after an exciting battle of life and death. Besides his face-off against Crystal Bowie in both the anime and the film, Cobra has also been pivotal in destroying the networks of human trafficking by Zygoba and drug smuggling on planet Rula. However, it is towards the second half of the anime when Cobra and Lady's investigations regarding the circulation of drugs across planets anticipate the final showdown against the treacherous Lord Salamander, the leader of the Space Pirate Guild. Perhaps the most significant development in the anime, Cobra's struggle against Lord Salamander comes at a price, as he loses some of his companions in the process. Yet his grit and determination gradually motivated him to destroy the shape-shifting humanoid projection of Adolf Hitler in this dystopian world. Indeed, the writers made a wise choice by creating a powerful yet charming character that is led not by his ideals, but follows his beliefs. And speaking of charming, Cobra does have a long list of love interests who either pass away in the course of the anime or bid farewell to the protagonist as they part ways. Some memorable characters in the series include Jane Royal, his first love in Space Adventure Cobra, followed by her third sister Dominique, a recurring character in the anime. Nevertheless, one female character has been a constant presence in every adventure Cobra has been on, and that is Lady Armoroid. As we mentioned earlier in the video, Lady Armoroid is a slender robot with the most advanced features that complement her superior intellect and unparalleled combat skills. For such a spectacular character, marking her as a sidekick would be an understatement. As a matter of fact, Cobra's investigations and battles are often assisted by the brilliance of the lady's abilities as a strategist and technician. It's worth noting that this duo shares an unfathomable degree of friendship that goes beyond their anatomical and psychological differences. Having worked as partners all these years, Cobra and Lady Armoroid's relationship is that of amiability and professional compatibility, in which both of them know each other's shortcomings and hence strive to protect each other at all costs. Why Space Adventure Cobra is an 80s hidden gem you definitely need to watch. Space Adventure Cobra is a unique combination of cyberpunk and fantasy with just a dash of spaghetti western action style added to the mix. Heavily influenced by the likes of Star Trek and James Bond, our blonde space pirate and his robot companion continue to inspire later generations to reimagine the endless possibilities of humankind in a world where technology and extraterrestrial encounters would shape a future hitherto unknown to us. The brilliance of the anime lies in its premise. By positioning the narrative between the notions of dreams and reality, Space Adventure Cobra gradually grows into a byproduct of our fantastical visualization of how things can turn out in the future. Whether it is watching dreams in the form of a film or upgrading humans into humanoids, the anime opens the floodgates of imagination so that the viewers too can participate in the adventures of Cobra and Lady Armoroid. Another noteworthy attribute of Space Adventure Cobra is the animation style. TMS Entertainment did a commendable job, especially for the 80s, and they have some unique ways that the ideas of dream and reality will recur throughout the anime. Some exceptional animation techniques include the multiple successive images of Cobra riding his bike to suggest that he is moving at high speed. This is followed by the interactions he has with Jane Flower in the film, where both Jane and Cobra appear symmetrically on opposite sides of the screen to highlight the differences between the two, while also depicting the affection they have for each other. Moreover, the use of bright colors throughout the anime and the film further add to the imagination of the viewer, making it one of the most underrated sci-fi fantasy animes ever. By the way, big news for the gamers in our weeb community, TMS Entertainment, in partnership with Microids, has announced earlier this year that Space Adventure Cobra would be adapted into an RPG-style game where users will play as the protagonist Cobra and fight against enemies in intergalactic adventures with Lady Armoroid. It's been further reported that the game will be available for consoles and PCs, while the console type is yet to be confirmed. Promising an immersive experience of gameplay to all users, we recommend you watch the film as well as the anime series beforehand so that you don't miss out on the fun. Marvelous verdict! In conclusion, all there is to say is that Space Adventure Cobra goes beyond the typical sci-fi fantasy action stories that we're already acquainted with, such as Cowboy Bebop and Outlaw Star. While both these animes are popular for the cast of characters and realistic animation styles, Space Adventure Cobra is undoubtedly a quintessential predecessor of Western space animes in the 80s. After all, the dreamlike sequences in the anime often come in sharp contrast with realism as far as the incidents in the plot are concerned. Even a simple conversation between two people can be transformed into a stunning visual of events that one can only visualize in their dreams. Such is the beauty of Space Adventure Cobra, a breathtaking work of imagination imagination that could reflect our very own future. Would you like to know more about Space Adventure Cobra and its cast of formidable antagonists? Or do you want to learn about other Western space animes in the 80s? Let us know in the comments section down below so that we can bring you the best of the best. Until then, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.